Hello friends, welcome back to the next session. Today we'll continue the classes. We'll start about agentic AI today. I think in the previous demos, if you have attended my previous demos, we looked at what is generative AI. We looked at end-to-end AI life cycle. So we covered few sessions on how the end-to-end AI life cycle looks like and so on. Today, we will cover uh, we will cover another session on agentic AI. So agentic AI, I hope you are able to see my blue screen. So we are talking about agentic AI, which is one step further from generative AI. So if I take a step back on generative AI, Gen AI, the way we are seeing is you will be interacting with a application, say ChatGPT. Internal to ChatGPT, we will have models. Like the current ChatGPT is having GPT 5.2 or GPT-5, GPT 5.0, and so on. And whenever a user asks a question to the ChatGPT, internally it will check whether it has to go to GPT 5.2 or GPT-5. And then based on that, it will respond back to the user. So this is how it currently looks like. I'm not sure if you are familiar, but if you ask the current ChatGPT a simple question, it will respond immediately, instantaneously. But if you add a word, think deeply, 2 words. If you add the word think deeply, then it goes into a thinking mode. Prior to the 4 point, like the 4.0, 4.40 models, ChatGPT 4 models. So those models, they had uh, reasoning and instant models separately. So you can directly call a instant model, or you can select a reasoning model and then you can call a reasoning model. So when you call a reasoning model, that used to go into the reasoning mode, that it used to go and think deeply and analyze it. Nowadays, the models are designed in such a way that they have abstracted the notion of whether it has to think deeply or it has to instantaneously give answers. That is developed by the application. Now, the ChatGPT as an application, which is kind of housing the internal models, the GPT 5.2 or GPT 5.0, it internally decides whether it has to instantaneously give answer or think deeply. Now, if I take the parallels, a regular generative AI application, you can say Gen AI app. A regular generative AI application also looks like this. So you might have a human which is talking to a generative AI application, and that might have some LLMs. Now I can develop a LLM with OpenAI, or I can develop an LLM with um, the OpenAI models or GPT. Now, for example, I can develop a model with GPT 5.2, or I can develop a model with Gemini model, Gemini 2.5 Pro, or a combination of many models. And then internally, I can design it like, okay, you can design the route like probably take the answers from both and then return a combined answer. So you can design like that. Based on our logic, you can create an API based layer where I am trying to uh, talk to multiple LLMs internally and then responding to the user. Now, this is a generative AI application. Now, what a generative AI application can do, it can summarize, it can translate, it can be used for question and answer. So likewise, it can be used for conversational interface like chatbot, knowledge bot, and so on. So a lot of options are there where we are trying to create a generative AI application where it is talking to a human, and the interactions happen via these LLMs. And the internal LLMs you are designing in such a way that it can take questions, it can summarize information, it can get you a response, translate certain things. It can do a lot of these options. Now, this is the generative AI application. Now, if I go one step further, if I say this generative AI application is going on with steroids, then that's when your agentic AI application will be created. Let me show you like how an agentic AI application will be. You might have the same one or two LLMs. GPT 5.2, Gemini 2.5. So you can have the same couple of applications, but you might also have another API based layer which can be going to some tools. You can create an application now which is not just doing the generation, but it is also doing some programmatic invocation to some third party application. It can be a third party application, it can be a function, it can be a database call. So, any of those things can happen where you are kind of creating an application. That is where I can call it as agentic AI app. Agentic AI application, which can be a combination of calling the LLMs, calling one function, calling a database, invoking a submodule, calling a microservice. All those things can be invoked via an API, and that API will help us to understand the internals. Maybe your system can be called you wanted to retrieve the customer records, and then after the customer records are retrieved, then for that customer records you wanted to send a customized summary about what is their account balance and what all things they can do. That is the agentic AI application. Today, what I will do is I will show you one simple agentic AI application. It's a no-code, low-code tool. It's called as NA10. because today also we're getting into an introductory understanding about how these applications will be. Eventually, as we go into the course, we will see like uh, examples on how to create these simple applications end to end, and we will be creating smaller projects which will be like utilizing these generative AI and agentic AI capabilities. So I'll show you today in the demo that we are going to learn about something called as N8N. So let me take you to the Google page. So today I'll take you to a website called as n8n.io. So n8n.io, if I go to the n8n.io, this is one of the tool. Because this is the first of the sessions, don't worry like, what is happening. Just observe that what is this tool, how we could use it, and, all those things. So if you look at it, n8n.io, there is this website, and if I can scroll to it, it provides a lot of information. Now, this is a workflow tool. I can minimize it. Is it? Now, I hope you are able to see the workflow. So it can do a lot of these workflows. If at all, for example, IT ops workflow. Now, this is a workflow when if a new employee is joining, then you will be able to automate this workflow. You can create a form for the new employee to enter, and he enters all the details like his name, email address, and all those and then that gets connected to an AI agent. Now, what is an AI agent? AI agent will be capable of connecting to LLMs, the same thing which I've drawn previously. It is able to connect to an LLM, and it is also able to connect to some tools. So here, if you see, we are using a LLM called as Anthropic Chat Model. This is an LLM. And then we do have something called as Postgres Chat Memory. We will talk about what is use of an LLM, what is the use of memory, what is the use of tools, and so on. But for in this example, just imagine that the agent is now capable of talking to an LLM. It is also having some capabilities of storing information into some memory, and it is also able to invoke some tools. It can be your Microsoft Active Directory ID for identifying, who the employee is, what is the employee number, employee details, and so on. Then it can also integrate with Jira software. It can integrate with some kind of access management software within the company. It can have access to Confluence. It can access to some internal systems, setting up of accounts, all those things. So while the employee onboarded, imagine I join the company and then I give all the details, then it will automatically assign me roles. It will automatically assign me permissions. It will create accounts for me, all those things, and then it will be set. In the olden days, what used to happen if somebody joins, it will take a lot of time for the person to get onboarded because there are individual accounts created, their access is created. It will take its own sweet time. Somebody has to approve, and then it goes through a different process. All those things takes a lot of time, which will uh, halt the employee productivity. Now, all that stuff can be automated with these agents. Automatically, as the employee joins, you can connect to different sources, connect to different accounts, and then he or she will be getting accesses, getting permissions, maybe creating a Bitbucket account, creating database accesses, some system level accesses, UAT development and prod level accesses. All those things depending upon the type of a role he is joining, those can be automated. And if he is a manager, then they will get certain types of access to the credentials. And if he's not a manager, then he will be getting like a developer kind of a credentials. So such an automation can be done so that it can be easily it can be easily created. Uh, Likewise, I can also do security operations. So this is another example of a security operations where it is going looking at some IP addresses and domains. It is an automation where it scans through some of the domains. It is scanning through some of the alerts. And then if at all there is some kind of alert happening, then it will invoke other systems. Similarly, DevOps can be done. This is another example of DevOps. So it's even more complicated. Such kind of DevOps operations can be done. So all those things we are seeing that we can create such kind of tooling, such kind of applications can be created, and you can route those applications accordingly. Now, this is a automation tool. This is like end-to-end automation tool using agentic AI. It is called as N8N. Now, I'll go to the GitHub account. I will launch this N8N on my local for our example today, and I'll show you like how this is working. So if I click on N8N GitHub account, which is here, it launches the N8N GitHub page. And if I scroll down a little bit, it will provide me some commands of how to run this on my local machine using Docker. Don't worry, we will do the setup of this and all that stuff. Today, I'll just quickly run this and then show how this works. But eventually, as we go into the course, I'll talk about, how do you set up this, how do you run this and all that stuff. So what is a Docker? I'm not going to explain Docker. Docker is a containerization technology which will allow us to run containers on your machines or on virtual machines. So here we are using Docker for running a container called as n8n underscore data. And then in that, we will expose the port 5678 so that whenever I say localhost colon 5678, it will open up the n8n on my local. So first things first, I need to have the Docker desktop running. So for running a Docker, I need to run a Docker desktop. Let me go and say Docker desktop. It runs on my machine. So how do you know whether my Docker desktop is running? If you're on the Windows, on the right side, bottom right side, there will be a small little Docker icon which will be running, which says that your Docker desktop is running. Okay, so you should be able to see a small little icon. And if you're on a Mac, on the top right corner, there will be a small little Docker icon which will be running. Another way to compare whether it is running or not is you can go to your command line. Let me go to the command line. So you go to a command line and then enter Docker. When you enter Docker, you should see all this kind of commands. As you see, there's a lot of commands you're getting. If you're getting this, then you can be rest assured that your Docker is running on your machine. Now, once you confirm that your Docker desktop is running, you can copy this little command, Docker run. Again, don't worry about what this command is. It's basically instantiating the Docker for n8n. It's running the n8n service in the backend on the port 5678. That's what it is doing. So if I can go copy that and put that in a new field, it opens the website, and I have logged into the website. So let me enter the email. So test read this test email. So I logged into the application, and now you see that there are a lot of workflows which are created. A lot of things are there. I hope you guys are following so far. If you have any questions, please put on the chat window. I'll be able to look at the chat window and then I will be answering them. So far, if I repeat what we did is we understood about what is the agentic AI. We looked at the website called as na10.io, where we can create a lot of these workflows, and these workflows will be combination of LLMs and some kind of tools and some things like that. Then we saw that we can launch the application na10 on my local. This is running on my local machine. And now I'm seeing like, how do I use this na10? I can go and create a workflow. Here you see there is a create workflow button. I can create a workflow and that will show something like this. I can increase or decrease like, control and increase or decrease like this. Scroll it. This is like a movable page where I'll be able to create a new workflow. So this is like a blank slate now. There's nothing here, but I'm going to create a simple workflow to show you like how to do end-to-end automation. First things first, I click on this add first step. And when I click on the add first step, that's where you are seeing on the right side that on the right side, you're able to see that you can have a lot of options. You can trigger manually. You can trigger on an app event. You can create a schedule, do a webhook call, on form submission, or on a chat message. On a chat message means this will create like a chat bot. So let me click on chat message. Once I create on chat message, it will ask for some kind of configuration. I don't have to do anything. I can say like test chat message or click somewhere here. Once that is done, you see that a little input icon is created. It's a chat icon. And what this says is that once I input any information in the chat, that will go to the model. The second thing, I should connect to a model or I should connect to an agent. Here I click on the plus button, and on the right side, you again see that there is a lot of details. I can select an AI, or I can select action in app, or I can do a data transformation. I can connect to a flow. I can write to a hard code program, and then or else I can have a human in the loop. All those things are possible. I'll connect to the AI. When I click AI, then there are a lot of options. I can connect to an AI agent. I can connect to different types of AI models. OpenAI, Gemini, Anthropic, all these models are there. I can connect to one of them. So let me connect to this AI agent where I to configure. Let me not configure this, but I'll show you how it looks like. So this is how it looks like. If you saw our previous example, this one, you were this is a chat submission form, user form. From the user form, it was going to AI agent. But now in our example, we are going from a chat option to a agent. In the agent, if I see there are a couple of options, there is a chat model, there is something called as memory, and then something called as tool. Chat model is the call to the LLM. In our example, I told that your agentic AI will have calls to the LLMs, and it will also have calls to something like tools. So likewise, our agent will be able to call an LLM. I can click this chat model and then I can call a LLM here. Here you see there are a lot of LLM connections are already there. You can select one of the LLM connection. I'll scroll down a little bit and then I'll be looking for something called as OpenAI chat model. So I'll be connecting to a OpenAI chat model. And once I click it, it will ask for my connection for connections, OpenAI account. So this is a connection to the OpenAI account, and I can use a lot of models. If you see, it by default defaults to 4.1 mini, but I can also use the other models. I can scroll down and I can see there are GPT-4 models, GPT-4 Turbo. The one which I like is the GPT-4o Mini. It's the charges will be very minimal and it behaves really good. So I can select the GPT-4o Mini and I'll be able to connect it. As you see, if you have seen that now it has created a chat model now, a connection to a chat model. Now I can test it. So if I want to test it, I can say, hello, who are you? I can say, hello, who are you? And then if you see here, it goes to the chat model, it is running the chat model, and it is responding to me. Hello, I am AI created to assist you with a variety of questions and tasks. How can I help you today? As you see, this is going to respond to me, and then I can ask any question. So I can say, what is generative AI? I'm asking what is generative AI, and then it is going to OpenAI ChatGPT model, and it is going to respond. So here it responds. The generative AI refers to the category of artificial intelligence model that can generate new content such as text, images, music, or other form of media based on learned patterns from existing data. All these things is possible using generative AI. Right? So far, so good. If you guys are following, just say yes in the chat window. What we did is we are kind of creating a bot now without any coding. There's no code involved now. So without any coding, we are now able to create a very simple bot. And now I can go complicate it, right? Now I can complicate it with some kind of memory, some kind of tooling, and so on. Now, why a memory is required here? Because whatever I asked the bot, it is more like a one-on-one question. Like I ask the question to the bot, I ask the question to the LLM, it will respond. But there is nothing like which is remembering the information. So as an application which I'm creating, I need to create a layer in which I can put some memory in it. There is like a database storage, like temporary database storage or a permanent database storage, depending on the requirement of the application, which will remember the conversations. So now I asked the bot about generative AI. If I ask some fact or some information, and if I do conversation saying that I love eating pizza, and I continue conversation, and then if I ask another question like recommend me good places to eat, then it should recommend me good pizza places. Now that information is not stored for the application, so you need to have some memory in place so that it can remember whatever is the conversation. So that is the second part. You have this little option like memory. I can add memory. If I click on the plus button, on the right side, you have a lot of options. You can put a Redis cache memory. You can put a PostgreSQL chat memory, then MongoDB, or you can create a very simple memory. I can go and click on simple memory, and that basically adds a simple memory. And the way it is adding is it links to the session ID. So there is a session ID which it is linking to, and it will create a little memory. So you see that chat memory is added. And the third option is the possibility of adding a tool. We will test the memory first, and then again, we will go and add the tool. So I can ask any question like, What is LLM? What is LLM? So I'm asking what is LLM? Here you could see the logs, like what is happening. And what happens is that it first calls the memory. If you see the log, the AI agent is first calling the memory because it is just asking if this information is already in the memory or not. If it is already then in the memory, then you can go get it from the memory, right? So that is what it is saying. It is asking the memory, and if nothing is found, then it goes to the OpenAI chat model, asks the question, the same question, what is LLM? The human is asking what is LLM, and this is the response from the chatbot. And then it goes to the memory and stores this information into the memory. So it says human is asking this, AI is responding this. So it's kind of keeping track of what did human ask and what did AI respond and what is the flow of it. All that information, right? Now this is how the flow looks like. Now I can add another third part. It is called as tool. So I click on the tool. On the right side, you could see a lot of again options coming up. So I can call a workflow, I can call a code tool, I can do an HTTP request. If I can scroll down, I can call a vector store. I can call some action, do a lot of things. Now, I'll not complicate today's session because it's a very introductory. I'll just store some information. So there's a question like, um, is the data stored in a JSON format? Yes, it is stored internally in the JSON format. Right, so I'll answer all these questions, but for now, what we are seeing here, so if I take a step back, the AI agent is connected to the chatbot, the chat model, the OpenAI chat model, and whenever I am asking question, it is going to the chat model and getting the response. Now I am adding more layers. I added one memory to it. Now the AI agent I can configure. So I can go and configure the agent. If I double click it, if you see, there are some configuration options. I can add an option. I can add something like system message. System message is like I'm putting rules. If you attended my generative AI first demo, there we saw that there is something like system prompt, user prompt, and so on, where we can set up some rules saying that, okay, first go to the memory, check the memory. If you don't find answer, then go to the chatbot, right? So all those informations can be created when we write a system message, right? Here, I'm not complicating it so much. We're creating a very simple chatbot because our purpose is to understand how this entire agentic AI works, and then we can later complicate the model. So let me quickly add one tool here. Tool is like some functionality. If I'm not adding tool, this is now a generative AI application only. Maybe I'm calling a LLM, it is responding. I'm asking to summarize, I'm asking to create a question and answer, I'm passing a document. So this is a generative AI application at the moment. But once I add a tool is like a capability, it is an API call, third party call, some kind of a call, then it becomes a agent. Now, what is a tool? I can do a Wikipedia search. If I do a wiki, you see there is a Wikipedia coming into play. So I can click on that and it basically calls the Wikipedia node. You see, this is how it looks like. You can have any number of tools. I can combine multiple tools. So I'm saying like, okay, I'll call a Wikipedia tool. Maybe I'll call a calculator. So there is a calculator tool. So I can call a calculator tool. So as you see, if I hide the chat, this is how it looks like. So this is how the overall agent looks like. So you have an input chat message. This is where I can call the chat. It can go and talk to the OpenAI chat model. It will internally store into a simple DB. Now I can change this to another database also. And then what it is doing is it is going and calling the simple database first. If it is information is there, then it will respond from the simple DB. I need to set the rules in the AI agent saying that if the information is already available in the simple database, respond from there. Right? So Ramnath has asked a question like if I ask the same question again, what is LLM? Then it will respond from the same place. It will respond from the same place. Yes, that is correct. It will not do a OpenAI chat call because it is already having that information. If I ask the same question. If I don't ask the same question, there is variance, then probably it will go to the OpenAI chat model again. If I do another call, suppose I am not calling OpenAI, I am calling some tool. So tool call can be like, suppose I want to say 5 multiplied by 5, 5 times 5. Then 5 times 5 is 25. So you should call the calculator and respond me with the answer. Right? Answer you'll get. But again, you have to call the LLM model uh, to convert that answer into a user known form, right? So if I say 5 times 5, it is 25, but it will answer that the 5 times 5 is 25. So it will construct that answer, and that for that it will call the LLM. So let me show you an example. I can go open chat. I was asking like, okay, let us do 5 times 5. I say what is 5 times 5? 5 times 5 is 5 into 5. 5 multiplied by 5, and that should be 25. So if you go, you see it says 5 times 5 is 25. That is correct. Answer is correct. But what it did to get that, I hide. So it did two calls to the OpenAI chat model. It did two calls to the simple memory model. It did one call to the calculator model. It did not call the Wikipedia. Got it? So what is happening is it is did two calls to the chat model, two calls to the memory, and one call to the calculator. So if I see the flow, this is how it flow. First, it went to simple memory. So in the simple memory, it is having a lot of memory. So it is also having the memory of what is LLM. If you see, this is a previous question we asked. And if I can scroll down, this is all the memory it has, the answer. It called the chat model with the memory because it is already having this information, but it now calls with the human question saying, what is 5 times 5? That is not in the memory. So it goes to the calculator tool and then it does the calculation. If you see the query is 5 star 5 or 5 into 5, and the answer is 25. Question is 5 into 5, answer is 25. And once it gets 25, now it has to give back answer in the user human known form. And for that, again, it will call the OpenAI chat model. And the response would be like this: 5 times 5 is 25. And that will be again stored in the memory. So as you see, there is another call going to the memory. It is saying that, okay, human is asking what is 5 times 5. AI is answering 5 times 5 is 25. And that answer is responded to my output. All right. So what we have seen. Now the question is the OpenAI chat model can also answer what is 5 times 5. Why would it call in calculator, right? So that's a good question. Uh, there is you need to design systems. Now this is where the actual work comes into play, right? Your calls to LLMs are costly. Now we are in a very naive state that saying that, okay, now I have this wonderful LLM capability. Now I can call it and it can do anything. But what it should do, what should be the purview of that LLM call is very essential because there is a cost associated with it. Every call to the LLM is a cost associated. Now I need to design my system in such a way that my calls to LLMs are at the minimal. Right now, even it is not optimized. Even this particular thing is not very optimized. I want to reduce the calls to the LLM, unnecessary calls. Right? Imagine I am asking a question on account information. See, what is the account information of Sitaram? If I ask account balance, suppose say I want account balance, my application should not go to a ChatGPT, right, or an LLM, because if I ask that, then it might answer something. It can hallucinate and it can answer something. But I want to go to a specific tool which is responding with my account information, right? So my application, whichever I design, I need to design in such a way that it intelligently understands. Now, how it understands intelligently, all those things we will go in deep detail when we are creating these AI agents, and we will decide, right? But for now, uh, how it can distinguish between LLM and the call, all those things we will have to design, and we will in the course we are going to understand how do we do it. But for now, for today's session, just understand that now we have this ability to create, apart from just doing some simple LLM calls. That's where the generative AI comes into play. Now we can add a little more layer, like a tool call. A tool is nothing but a capability call. It can be as simple as calculator tool, it can be a Wikipedia call, it can be a database call, it can be a third-party API call, it can be a microservice call to your internal systems where it is getting my latest account balance, my credit card details, and all that stuff. So far, so good. Are you guys following? Now, how the agent would decide all those things, we will learn. But for now, just understand that okay, it is deciding. It is deciding. It is doing some magic. Something is happening. Now, how do we write rules in which, like, what should be the flow in which it should design and all that stuff? We will slowly understand as we go deeper in the course. But today's session, my thought or my target was to introduce you to the concept of agentic AI. And in the agentic AI, we are seeing that without writing a code. Now, this does not require a coding. Right? This is a no-code, low-code tool. We are getting into the space where we are trying to create no-code, low-code tools where we do not need to write code, but we can create very powerful agents. We can create automations and all that stuff. And this is one of the a tool which is very helpful. Now I can do the same thing with frameworks, which are Python specific frameworks. And then all those things can be done. So if this is your first session, request the organizers, you can request the organizers to share your previous sessions. There are one or two demo sessions which we did where I spoke about generative AI, where I spoke about something like end-to-end life cycle and all that stuff. And they will be happy to share you the recordings, and you will be able to understand, like, how it is going. So in our course, we'll be covering a lot of things. We will be covering length, breadth, depth about code. And in general demo sessions, you will see that people will be talking about generative AI is an application. So there will be a slide where they'll be talking on generative AI is so and so. And then they will be spending 10 more minutes on agentic AI. There will be another slide where they'll be talking about advantages of agentic AI, benefits of agentic AI, and all that stuff. But in our course, it will not be like that. It will be directly hands-on. It will be like real implementations. And within the 1 hour we spend, we should get a lot of information. And my goal is that whatever time we are spending, we should get maximum information rather than discussing like Ashoka has planted trees and so history is like that. And that is of no use. Of course, we'll be understanding technicalities as well. Today's session probably it can be overwhelming for many, uh, and then informative for a few. But as we go deeper in the course, you will be understanding all the basic details. If you are getting a lot of questions saying that, how is this agent working? How is it calling the tool? What is the rule it is taking? Uh, all those things, then just pat on your back because you are on the right direction. You are thinking in the right direction. Now I can also go and call some Wikipedia related question. I can ask any question, and get me information on India from Wiki from Wikipedia. Suppose I say this, okay? Wikipedia is correct. Wikipedia. So let me see if this is getting called. Now here you see the Wikipedia is getting called and it gets the information from Wikipedia. And now whatever information it got, it will get like big paragraph. Now it is again calling the LLM so that it condense that information. Right. So the second call to the chat model happened because it is condensing the information and writing in a very nice format. This is condensed by the LLM. So it gave a lot of information. If I look at the Wikipedia, this is how. So it is getting the page information, the Wikipedia page information. It is not like a nice summarized format, but that information will be again condensed by the LLM and you will be getting even more finer details. So if I say write about India in 3 bullet points, if I say give me information on India in 5 bullet points, then that 5 bullet points condensation will be done by the LLM. Got it? So here I'll stop. If you guys have any questions, do let me know. So we have like few minutes. I will be taking any questions you might have. Let me know if you guys are following. Are you guys following? Say yes if you guys are following.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
yes.
All right. So you might be having a lot of questions, like how is this working? What is the LLM? Do I need to write a code? Is there a program? Is there some way of magically doing all these things? All these things will be learned, right? We will have to spend almost like let me quickly brief you about the structure of the course. I think I might have some slides. Let me see if I have some slides of the structure. Yeah. So this is the structure of the course. So this is the flow. We are currently in the first section where we are touching the surface. We are understanding what is AI, what is data science, machine learning, generative AI, agentic AI. So today's session was on this, right? So we are just touching the surface, just understanding different tools and names and so on. We will spend a week on this to surface all the applications and all those basic details. And after that, we'll go into Python for AI, where we will spend like a couple of weeks to understand the basics of Python for doing AI. And then we'll go into classical machine learning. Classical machine learning talks about supervised machine learning, unsupervised machine learning. There are a lot of models in the classical machine learning space. We will be discussing on that. Once that is done, then we get into generative AI, which is where you can use the LLMs to do a lot of things, generate information. We will do a practical applications of using generative AI. And then after that, we'll use practical applications of creating agentic AI. After that, we'll learn like how do you productionize these models, productionize classical machine learning models using MLOps, productionize generative AI application using LLMOps, and productionizing the agentic AI application using agentic ops. We'll learn all these different flavors of productionizing your systems. And then you will also learn cloud for AI. That means that there are cloud providers like AWS, Azure, and GCP. We'll be learning these cloud providers. There are different ways of doing the same agentic AI or generative AI applications in specific clouds. So you will be learning these type of, like, for example, how do you do in AWS? If I want to do the same generative AI application building in AWS, how do I do it? How do I do it with Azure, or how do I do it with GCP? So we'll learn those things as well. Entire course will be around 2 to 2.5 months. Just take it like it will be 2.5 months. It's starting in mid of January, so it'll go up till March. And every hour, 1 hour per day, where I'll be spending 45 minutes, 15 minutes for the session, and then I'll put like a 10 to 15 minutes for question answers. Session will be at 7:30 p.m. EST in the US time zone, and the classes will happen from Sunday to Thursday. This is the way the classes happen. And if you are in an India time zone, the classes will happen from Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. IST. And I'm in an India time zone, and my time is 6:55 now. So the class happened from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. All right. Any more questions?
What is this? Predictive AI, generative AI, agentic AI, predictive AI? Both are same, generative and predictive.
Prediction is, yeah, predictive AI comes into classical machine learning where you're trying to predict. Suppose I want to predict whether I can upgrade your credit card, right? Whether I can upgrade your credit card or not. Maybe we are on gold credit card. Should I upgrade to diamond credit card or platinum credit card? That is a predictive nature. So that comes under classical machine learning, where we are having a lot of companies which are doing classical machine learning modeling, predictive modeling, and getting a lot of revenue. Now, the new trend is the generative AI, but companies are already working on predictive analytics. That is currently in working in the systems. Got it?
Okay.
I will just check if I missed any questions. So there's a question like, what if we didn't add calculator tool? Then it will go to ChatGPT and it will ask, right? And then it will give you a generic response from ChatGPT. If the ChatGPT knows answer. If it doesn't know the answer, then it will say, I don't know. That will be the output. If I ask a question like, what is account balance of Sitaram's account 12345? If I ask that question, what will it answer? If it doesn't know any information on that, it will say, I don't know. All right, so everyday sessions will be recorded. You will be getting the recordings. And once the batch starts, everybody will be getting all the recordings in the drive, so that you can refer to the recordings, and those recordings are free for lifetime. So even after the course also, you can go back to the recordings and then learn from there. All right. Any more questions? So the
Yeah.
classes start from today itself. So every day, 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, there will be session. So even if we didn't understand like what is happening today, I would recommend you to attend few more sessions so that you will get a little more clarity on the style, on my style of teaching, and then like the contents we are covering and all those details. You'll get more fine-grained details about how the course is conducted. All right. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope you liked the session. If you like, just put a yes in the chat window so that I get some feedback. If you understood something, you're like, okay, this is cool. I spent 1 hour and then now I know what is agentic AI, right? So great. I'm getting good yeses. So that means that you are understanding what is happening. We are going to uncover a lot of things in the course. So I only request is that please prepare yourself, right? So you have to prepare yourself. New Year started, January again, it's like ending also, right? So it's running so fast, right? So 20 days already done. And then we are going to learn a lot of things. Prepare yourself for running. I'll talk about like how do you install, all the sessions are going to follow, right? So next session after, I'll be talking how do we how do you install and all that stuff. Certification, there are certifications from the cloud providers. There is, for example, there's something like generative AI leader certification, and things like that. So I would encourage you guys to take certifications later in the course. But that once the course is complete, you will be equipped for doing those certificates. Uh, Python courses or exercises before we start. If you are familiar with Python, it is good enough because we will be covering Python for data science. If you are not familiar with Python, I would recommend you to do some basic courses on Python, like Python for everybody. Even in YouTube also, you'll see like some Python basic courses. You could do some of them. It will be helpful for you. Python for everybody is one course which I would recommend. It is like a basic Python course. If you don't know anything ABCD of Python, then I think you should do that. It is available in YouTube for free. What OS you prefer? Anything is okay. I am running on Windows, but you can run it on Mac also. I can show you some examples on Mac also, but most of them doesn't require any hard OS dependency. We will be doing our examples on a cloud environment. So I'll talk about how do you set up that cloud environment, all that stuff. I'll talk in the next sessions. Maybe Friday or Monday. I'll talk on that. But you don't have to worry about a lot of the system configurations. Any system would work. Minimum RAM required, I would say 8 GB is decent enough. If you have an 8 GB RAM, you will be able to do all the exercises, whatever we are trying to do. It will work for 4 GB also. It is not like it will not work, but 8 GB is a decent one. So what type of certification we can do? There are AI engineer certifications. As I said, there is one from Google Cloud called as Generative AI Engineer. There are associate level certifications you could do. AWS Machine Learning Specialty Certification you can do. Uh, GCP Professional Machine Learning Certificate we could do. Azure Data Science Certificate you could do. These are all different certificates provided by cloud providers. There are some third-party certificates also provided by IBM and so on. They also can be done. But I personally believe more in practicality than certificates, because of course certificate will give us some credentials, but practicality is something which is very, very essential. And that's what we're going to learn in the course. All right. Is this link you're talking about? Let me check.
So you're still deploying?
Yeah, Python for everybody. Yes, this is correct. There are a lot of them, but we could do this one. But there are a lot of them. Yeah. Similarly, there are a lot of. All right. Thank you very much, guys. We'll come back tomorrow, same time, and then we will continue understanding about a lot of these terms. Tomorrow, we'll understand the differences between AI, ML, DS, and all that stuff. Till then, take care. Have a nice day. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.